Many businesses, big and small, are taking on the challenge to find alternative, sustainable sources to fossil fuels. But what will it take to keep Ohio in the game? Well, joining us with the bottom line on Ohio's clean energy economy, Kate Barter, Associate Director of the Institute for Energy and the Environment at The Ohio State University, and John Saldanha, Assistant Professor of Logistics at OSU's Fisher College of Business. Thanks for joining us to both of you. I got to tell you, that Quasar facility that we were able to tour was sparkling clean. Did it smell at times? Sure, but it was one of the cleanest facilities you're ever going to see. And Kate, I know you grew up just a few miles from there, right?
10 miles from the OARDC in Worcester, correct.
Oh, so you know what energy means to Ohio's economy. Talk about what this type of energy means for us here in the Buckeye State.
Well, Ohio is one of the most energy-intensive states in the country. We're about the fifth largest energy user, and energy is necessary across our economy, especially for our, very heavy manufacturing, concrete, steel, aluminum, cement, things that we think that Ohio's really been built on as a backbone of production in the country and the world. How energy, a reliable, clean source of energy, is just a critically important part of our future.
And John, this clean energy, or green energy as we call it, the logistics of this and the supply chain. Talk about the supply chain and all what's involved there.
Well, it starts off at the field, like we saw, and at all the sources where you're going to get these waste products. And transporting those waste products is part of the supply chain. You need to transport them, you need to store them somewhere, and then obviously the processing is involved. And then on the other side is the distribution of the finished product, whether it is energy into the grid or energy for motor vehicles, or the byproducts of that processing, which is the byproducts of that energy extraction would be used for products that would also have to be distributed. So that's all part of that whole supply chain, that value chain.
And it really is interesting how every part of the chain depends on the other part in this industry, Kate. The current trends that could help Ohio companies be part of this chain and be successful in this. What are some of the current trends, or where you see this going?
Well, I absolutely think that Ohio is well positioned to be a leader in the global marketplace, for a place that makes the kinds of products and machines, whether it's wind turbines or solar cells, we can produce. We have the workforce and the systems in place to sort of transform some of our existing manufacturing capacity into manufacturing for the new clean energy economy, not just for Ohio, but for the world.
I like the term now. They call them green collar jobs, right?
Right.
Are we able to create a lot of these through this supply chain?
I think we're sitting on the verge of many more jobs and many more opportunities if we to create more and more opportunities, both for people and for companies who perhaps were making automobiles. We have so many automobile supply chain companies here. They may be those factories, and those people may be producing elements for the solar industry, the wind industry, the biomass industry in the future, right here in Ohio.
And also every single company or facility has waste, so if we can create that to energy, it'd be great. John, put on your business cap and tell me about the business of this and managing, and effective ways to manage this industry or a company within the supply chain.
Well, from a supply chain perspective, one of the key things in a supply chain is, lots of research has shown that a significant percentage of your costs is fixed up front in terms of where you locate your facilities. In this case, locating facilities close to sources of the materials, the biomass that would go into those production facilities, I would think would be a significant cost factor in terms of your whole supply chain costs, because those materials are fairly low cost or probably zero cost, and transporting those materials would be significant cost factors in the final product. So the location of the facilities would be significant, and then finally also the distribution network. Where do you store these where do you store the biomass? Where do you store the finished goods products? The trends are really or let me talk about the previous trends. The previous trend was within the firm, how do you optimize where you have your inventories, where you have your facilities, but now we're looking out beyond the four walls of the firm to the other firms in the supply chain, so your distributors, your final retailers, or the distribution locations where the customer actually, final consumer uses the product. So in the case of fuel for vehicles, those locations, because that would entail a transportation cost from the processing facility to that final location.
And like any business, as cool as this may be, you have to manage it correctly.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Kate, talk about the research and development a little bit, and where it's going, and where do you think this will be a year from now or 10 years from now? Ohio only has about 100 or 150 of these digesters. Do you think this is a growing industry?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that when you look at our overall energy needs, just globally, and the challenge of doing this in a more clean way, we really need to grow all these sources of renewable energy: biomass, solar, wind. They're all part of Ohio's energy future and the world's energy future. And the great thing about the biomass industry is it allows us to use things we produce here locally, as John says, and things that are currently a waste that we're paying to throw away can be turned into a product that we can use to produce another product we need equally well. So there's a win-win to biomass of using what we aren't using currently into something we really need more of.
Certainly a win-win, and all those landfills out there that are unsightly and too big, those will start getting smaller. Appreciate it, Kate Barter and John Saldanha. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.